様らをチョコのように甘やかす気はない。
Hello everybody, Vigo'sShadow here, and today we have a new unit and a new event. This is the Valentines event. I was thinking it was gonna come a little bit earlier, but these things are usually at near the end of the month, slash kind of like after Arma, like there's an event that comes out right away. So for this specific event, we have Lambda. We actually have an event Lambda unit, and this is the first time we're seeing an event Lambda unit, and I gotta say, so she actually looks pretty good. So the yellow, she is gonna be a yellow healer, so that's also very funny because the other Lambda unit we have is a red healer, and that unit is really good. So I'm going to be dipping in right away to like how good this unit actually is as a yellow healer and how it compares to the other yellow healers. So let's just jump right in. We're going to go to profile first to get the max stats, see what we can get here. So there is power to healing boost right there. And then we got healing boost all the way down to overheal, 20% overheal for healer, I believe. And then there is the grouping. So yeah, there's that. And then I already did get the character, so let's go right into the abilities next. Alright, here it is, Bitter Patissier, Lambda, and this is her outfit. This is what she looks like when you get her as a unit. It is pretty awesome. Let's just go right into her ultimate right away. This is Lambda's Choco Camp. It recovers HP of all allies by 200% of the attack. Not a bad heal, it's healing everyone, that's good. Further raises crit rate by 50% for 10 seconds if it's yellow elemental. Let's go ahead and look at the awakening here, and what this looks like awakened is that the crit rate is 100%. So what that means is, before you're hitting your hidden techniques, use Lambda first so you have that crit rate, and then just have everybody go with their hidden techniques, and it's gonna be a lot of damage because that's guaranteed crits when it's awakened. Otherwise it's just 50%, but still, I mean, with 50 you're gonna want to use the hidden techniques after it anyway. So that move is not bad. It's actually a pretty decent healing move, especially the fact that you get crit rate. The crit rate is probably the, like, I've been like ripping and raving about crit rate for like, especially with like Zeta, but like this one, this is guaranteed crits. I mean, if you have it awakened, so that is good for 10 seconds. So your hidden techniques are gonna always crit if you have that at wherever the awaken. We want to see this early on the awakening roadmap, so hopefully it's not tucked too far behind. But yeah, let's move on to her second skill here. This one's called Sweet Gift. This one recovers the HP of a single ally with the lowest HP by 100%. That's a standard heal of attack. Also raises the attack for 10 seconds of that same ally. So whoever's getting hurt, gonna get more attack. Which, in those scenarios, it can kind of suck because usually, your weakest ally is the one that's gonna get healed because they're, you know, not as leveled as the other one. So the person with the highest attack isn't getting the buff that they should, or it would be better suited on that on a unit that has higher attack. But either way, they get 10% of attack and further raises the crit rate by 20% if it's a yellow elemental, which is good, very, very good. So the crits could make up for it depending. And then what it looks like awakened is that we have it go up to 50%. So we go, and it's actually a very significant jump. That's 30% more crit attack. So that is definitely, like, it goes from a low percentage to a coin flip at that point. So it's really good. And you know what? These two moves are actually very similar to Red Healer Lambda's kit, which is really funny. So I'm actually probably going to compare her after I get all these skills. So the next move is called Heart Whip. Low damage on a single enemy, so doesn't matter. This damage is not good. Further inflicts weakness. 100% of a skill user's attack for 8 seconds. So that's going to essentially like lower their defense, I believe. But we can check in what I'm gonna give you a more solid definition of what weakness is. So let's just go ahead and go into that real quick. Okay, so here we have weakness. It is at the bottom. It's a fairly newer one, I guess. It's the inflicts additional damage based off of the skill user's attack when attacking an affected enemy for the duration of the effect. So it's not like your standard, like it's kind of like a lower defense, essentially, but it's based off of the skill user's attack instead. So it's solely basing it off the attack and not off of their defense. So that's where it differs. Okay, back to Lambda. Alright, so it has that weakness, which is really good. So whatever the attack is on that enemy, or whoever's attacking that enemy, it's going to take it into consideration the skill user's attacks. And it does say it right here too. So it's going to be doing 100% of the skill user's attack for 13 seconds, which is good. It is good, but the awakened is not too good. It's actually 5 additional seconds, so that's not bad for like as far as like status effects go. So that's not too bad on that. Now let's go ahead and go for her last move here, which is called Bitter Patissier, I believe. I probably said that wrong, but oh well. At the start of the wave, raises damage inflicted for tank ally by 200% if first in line permanent. Further raises damage inflicted by 200% if yellow elemental. So this is the literal same copy and paste move from Red Healer Lambda, which is, I'm not going to complain because that's a very good move. So a lot of this kit is this is just basically Lambda Part 2. It's the same. It's like almost the same moves, but like minor tweaks. So when you have this awakened, it's going to go to 300%, making it 600% in total for the tank doing damage, which is like, you know, I've seen it. If we're using like the red Lambda and the red Rose or whatever tank, like I've seen the tank do more damage than the attackers. So obviously, hands down, this is going to be a very, very good healer. Because not only does it heal pretty consistently, it also gives you crits. It raises attack. I mean, that's a 3-in-1 move right there. It puts weakness on an enemy, and then also you can do a lot of damage with the tank. The tank basically, essentially, can become an attacker. So you cannot complain because this turns standard, like tank, healer, 3 attackers into like pretty much your tank is the attacker. So you cannot complain that much. So this is actually a very good unit for like a yellow healer. It's a good event unit. But let's see how it compares to like other. I'm just gonna do this real quick. So let's just see how it compares to regular Lambda here, right? So let's just go down here and regular Lambda. We go to her skill, Raging Whip. Literal same thing, same amount of heal, same amount of crit rate, and if you go awakened, it goes 100%. But the only thing here is I don't know why they didn't just transfer over the raises attack by 10% for 10 seconds. That would have been very nice on the ultimate. Because like at that point, this Lambda is doing better in that department. I mean, this one is the 100%. So this is all the same values, except I think the crit's a little bit higher. Yeah, it goes 10% more for the event Lambda. On target, they have the same type of thing. But instead, this one actually lowers defense by 10 seconds. And it doesn't do damage, so it just inflicts dark and further lowers defense. That is way better than throwing out a very minuscule amount of damage. I'd rather have 2 debuffs than having a little minimal thing of damage and then 1 debuff for weakness. Weakness is, I think, pretty good, but yeah. And then when this is awakened, you could throw Seal. That is 3 different status effects on this Lambda. That's why this Lambda is good. And then this one is literally the same thing. That's why I was like saying this is like almost copy and paste. So, I mean, essentially, we're going to go back to this event one right here. So, the fact that this copies a lot of Red Lambda's moveset means that this is a pretty good unit. It's not as good as Red Lambda because you don't have that additional effect here, and then this could definitely, like, this only just changes values. It doesn't add a whole nother layer to it like Red Lambda does, so it would have been nice if we would have seen something like that. They could have made this Lambda a lot better, considering that the other Lambda is stronger than this one, still. So what we're gonna do is go into the Awakening roadmap to see where these where the good ones lie. Like, we want to see this right away. So let's just go ahead and take a look here. But before I do that, let's just appreciate the full art here. And like right off the bat, you know, the desserts actually look very appetizing. Just holding two of them there. It's there's a lot of like Valentine's balloons, and then there's a lot of stuff in the background, like this giant cake. There's a teddy bear. I think that I like what they did with a lot of the, like what they did with the background. I mean, a lot of this upper space is kind of like, you know, just the ceiling, so it doesn't really need any filler. So this is actually a really good full art, and then also like just Lambda's apparel quotations there. But yeah, it's pretty good. I would rate that one probably. It's leaning more towards my favorite. Just like, I like backgrounds that are really decorative, so I'd say it's like an 8.5 or a 9 on that art there. Let's go ahead and go to the skill here. Let's see if the magic gear actually changes quite a few things. Normal attack is just the 100%, but let's see this. And we're gonna go to the max stats because we want to see how good this can be. So each time normal attack is used, which is going to be often, raises own overheal by 15%. So I'm thinking that there's no cooldown. It doesn't say that's here. Now you can get your overheal to 100%. I don't know when it caps. So you can continuously, like, I mean, she's gonna be healing quite often. I mean, I wish this overheal was on somebody else. Like, if this was on tank, that would be absolutely busted. I'm talking busted. Especially if you're buffing the tank already and you're putting overheal on top of it. Oh my gosh, that'd be insane. But you're only doing overheal on yourself, so if everybody else dies and Lambda remains, I mean, eventually, like, she's just gonna die, but it's gonna take a minute. But this basically ensures that anything attacking the back line or the healer for whatever reason is that Lambda doesn't die. Which is good, it's good, but like, I feel like in most case scenarios, like, if your attackers are out, if your like whole mid lane is just wiped and you're just left with an attacker and a tank, I mean, with specifically this, like, if you have Lambda, like, at least the tank could do something. But I feel like in most cases, if your mid lane's destroyed, then yeah, I mean, the whole team just falls apart. But this is still pretty cool. I wouldn't say it's a bad magic gear, but here's where I'd put it. I wouldn't say it's good, and I definitely wouldn't say it's good. And I definitely wouldn't say it's bad. It's definitely in that in-between area. So it's in that gray area, especially if you have it at max, because like 15% overheal is pretty good, especially if you're doing it after normal attacks. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the Awakening roadmap. So we have Heart Whip right away. That's probably the worst one. We don't want to see that. But we get it anyway at A1, so it makes sense. A2, that's where we get the from 400% damage inflicted to 600%. Now that's not a bad thing at A2. That's actually pretty good. That's one of the things we do want to see up there for sure. So that's actually a pretty good move. A3 is that sweet gift, which is it's pretty good considering that you raise the crit rate by like a whole 30%, making it a coin flip, so that isn't bad. Having it at A3, A4 is the magic gear slot, and A5 is where we want the best one, where it's the 100% crit rate. That'd be so good. This Lambda at A5, really good. But like, even regular red Lambda, which is off the regular character pool, by the way, is like, has like the same kind of setup and is way better than this Lambda. But now that's for red teams though. So how does this yellow healer Lambda stack up with the other yellow healers? So in essence, should I pull Bitter Patissier Lambda? And I'll go ahead and tell you that it depends on what your team looks like. So she's actually a very good heal. She'd be probably one of the best healers for yellow at the moment, if we're not including other events or SF units. She's actually very good. So especially if you have let's see, I think, yeah. Let's see here. We're just going to take a look at what the potential is, right? So most of the time you're probably going to be running this rose right here, the yellow rose, which is not bad. So it'd be nice because, I mean, she's very good for PvP, so that'd be a good PvP setup right off the bat to have this rose doing a lot of damage. But if we're strictly looking at other healers within yellow, this one's a lot of debuffs and I'd say a little bit more PvP based, and the heals are less consistent. Yeah, one stack. It's just this one's not as good. Bright author or best-selling author beta is I'd say not my favorite yellow healer. Training hard gamma is actually very good with they can heal pretty well, but they don't have any 3-in-1 moves or anything like that. Well, maybe this one, but or this is a 2-in-1, but still. This one's she's gonna be I wouldn't even say a close runner-up. This Lambda, this healer Lambda that we just got, outclasses every yellow healer that we have off the regular character pool, excluding events and SF. So yeah, it'd be pretty good. I mean, I could see a lot of different combinations that you could use for yellow teams with that Lambda, especially tank-wise. I know if we're doing this tank, she's able to shield everyone, so I mean, if you're going that route to where you're just trying to have your team stay alive, I mean, that's one combination you could use. But as far as is it a necessity? It just kind of depends. What is your healer situation looking like now? Do you have either one of them, Training Hard Gamma or the other one? I mean, you can get them off the regular character pool, but if you're in desperate need for a yellow healer, this is the type of unit to get for sure. It's not as good as the red healer Lambda, which is unfortunate because they're basically sharing the same type of moveset. But this isn't bad, especially if you like Lambda as a character. This is going to be events, so it's not going to be anywhere else on there. So it's not a bad option. I'd say this is a banner that you could probably pull comfortably, especially if you have extra gems to burn, which is most likely not the case. But I mean, especially if you want to save up for Shadow Festival, that'd probably be better. This one can be passed, especially since we have other yellow healers. They don't operate as good as she does, but if you're definitely looking for a good healer for your yellow teams, she is it. But that's it. Anyway, that's all I have to say for this new event unit. We can expect the other alpha for the Valentines unit as well, because they're both in the same category there. And then we can also expect the revival of the past, last year's Valentine's units. So we're going to probably get another revival banner there with dual units. So you can expect that. But yeah, that's all. Vigo, signing off.